Okay, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this very, very important interview tonight. It's about the airpeace versus Nigerian customers, the multiple court cases against the airline. And we are here tonight. Our guest is Mr. Emeka Ugwuonye Esquire to do justice to this interview. Mr. Ugwuonye, you are welcome to this interview.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right. Without much ado, what exactly is happening between you and airpeace? Let's kick off immediately.
Well, I was surprised to see how many Nigerians reacted to what I had viewed as a personal encounter or a personal experience with airpeace. I had traveled to Abuja to attend to one of my cases in Abuja. I was going back to Lagos on the 27th of January. When we booked the flight, it was to be 4:25 p.m. And it seemed okay. I finished early in court and came to the airport around 2 o'clock. I came to the check-in counter and I was told, sorry, the flight had been moved to 8:10 p.m. There was quite a gap between 4:10 and 4:25 and 8:10, 4 hours. But I asked them, why was I not notified? They said, well, they couldn't give me any reason, but they said it was due to weather situation. It was weather that prompted them to make the change. But the lady asked me, that was the point when I became concerned. She asked me to upgrade my ticket because I had booked economy ticket. She asked me to upgrade my ticket to the business class and I would fly. That was surprising because if there was a genuine weather problem, that would affect the flight in its entirety, not just affecting a change. It wouldn't be something that could be corrected by a change in the coach. So I asked her how much it would take. She said it was going to be 40,000 naira. If I added it, I would be moved to the business class and I would fly. I said, no, I'd rather wait. So I went into the lounge. I normally use the VIP lounge. I went into the VIP lounge and waited. And they were calling flights, different flights, and people were taking off. And I sent a message to my PA and asked him to check if we got any notification that the flight had been changed. So he said yes. There was a notification 2 a.m., which was why nobody saw it. There was a notification 2 a.m. on the 27th of January. And it said that the flight had been changed to 4 p.m., to 6 p.m. because of operational reasons. That was what they gave. By 2 a.m. of that day, that was 14 hours ahead of the time I was supposed to fly. They informed us 14 hours ahead of time that my flight had changed because of operational reasons. We didn't see that notification because it came very early in the morning and other things took over. So, however, by 2 p.m., when I came to them, they told me weather situation. So apparently, as early as 14 hours ahead of time, airpeace changed the flight for a different reason. And if it was for weather reason, it was very strange that they knew 2 a.m., 14 hours in advance, that there was going to be a weather problem 14 hours later. So I found the whole thing odd. It didn't really make sense. I was willing to allow, some slack. This is a third world country. Things are not working normally and all those things. I was willing to just ignore it. So, but what happened was that when 8:25 p.m. came, when I was supposed to finally travel, The flight was not ready. No boarding was called for. So we sat there 9 p.m. As we were approaching 9 p.m., they made announcement that the flight will now be 10 p.m. That was odd. At that moment, I knew if I were to take off 10 p.m., I would get into Abuja and to Lagos 11 p.m., close to midnight. I don't like to travel. I don't like to be in the streets of Lagos late at night. It's very risky. So I became concerned. I didn't want to land at the Lagos past 11 p.m. So I decided to go back to town. I said, all right, I'm just going to go back to Abuja city and continue my trip the next day. I called the airline staff. I said, I want my luggage out. Let me have my luggage. It must be packed somewhere since the flight was not ready. They said to me, oh, no, your luggage had gone. I said, but how could my luggage have gone when no flight was flying because of the weather problem? They said, oh, no, sir, it had gone to Lagos. So now I was stranded. I couldn't go back to Abuja. I was forced to wait for the 10 p.m. flight. Close to 10 p.m., they made another announcement that the flight will now be 11 p.m. I was really worried at that point. This made no sense. Finally, 11 p.m. came, and they asked us to come for boarding. And by the time the flight took off, it was 11:40 p.m. So we got into Lagos 12:33 a.m. Now, and I had a problem finding my luggage, which had moved in earlier. It took me a while before I found one corner where they tossed my luggage. Thank God nobody knew what was inside my luggage, otherwise it would have been stolen. So I got out. By 1:30, that was when I got my luggage located, and then began to look for vehicle. I had told my driver to go back because I wouldn't want him to be there by midnight. In fact, when I decided to go back to the city, I told my driver to go back. So finally, I got a driver willing to take the risk to take me to my house. My house is far away from the airport. I live in Ikoyi, and the airport is in Ikeja. So throughout the drive, I was scared. I was so worried, and I kept asking the driver how safe it was. He said to me, well, let's pray. Let's pray it will be okay. Let's pray we will not be attacked in the night. As you know, I am not of the prayer type. I wouldn't like to be in the street praying not to be attacked in the middle of the night. I would rather avoid being in such a situation, but it wasn't possible. The airport staff, the airline staff, immediately they got us down, they all disappeared. You couldn't even stay inside the airport, inside the lounge in the airport, arrival hall in the airport, because they would lock it up in the middle of the night around that time. The only reason they hadn't locked it up by the time we arrived was because our flight was coming. But immediately we landed, they were locking it up. As I was looking for my luggage, they were telling me to get out, that they were locking the whole place up. So I finally got home by 11 o'clock. I took my shower, lay down in bed, and began to think about what happened. It didn't make sense to me. I felt we had been lied to. All that APs was telling us didn't make sense, couldn't make sense. And as I sat in the VIP lounge, I could see hundreds, thousands of people in the main lounge shouting each time there was an announcement of a flight. They would rush and stampede and shout. I could not believe that these people were all there, probably facing the same problem that I faced. Of course, not many of them could go into the lounge where I was because you have to pay for that lounge. You have to pay 6,000 to 9,000 to be in the lounge. So I was so deeply concerned. So I got home, thought about these things, and I felt that APs had been grossly negligent, had been so dishonest, and truly, truly did not care about anything because I saw what happened at the airport. People got there confused. They didn't know what to do. Some of them are used to it. Some of them did not know any better. They didn't know that such things should not happen to them. So I felt something had to be done. And I was then prompted to write that message as I normally do when there is a major event around me. So I posted it on Facebook that I was going to sue APIS. Yes, indeed, I decided to sue APIS. I wanted somebody to come and explain how this sort of thing could happen. And I knew, I believe that other airlines must be doing the same thing, but something had to be done. My decision was made to file a lawsuit. I actually sent text messages to our lawyers in Abuja and Lagos and said, gentlemen, we have to sue APIS. This is what happened. I can't accept it. We have to sue APIS. But at that point, I was suing for myself. I was just suing for myself because I had no idea about how other people felt about APIS. So after the lawyers said, okay, they got some facts, some information, I sent it to them, and they began to draft the process. I then made the post. My post was the turning point because thousands of people began to contact me, inbox, as well as by comments to my post, and they were relaying even worse, more horrific experiences they encountered with APs. So I was very touched. I called back the lawyers and said, guess what? This is going to be a class action lawsuit. They said, why? I said, the outcry is too much. And this should probably be a class action lawsuit because I am not the victim. I'm not the only victim. A lot of people have suffered more. And in fact, compared to what other people suffered, my suffering was relatively light. And why was it relatively light? No airport officials spoke to me rudely. They were very polite when they talked to me. So I cannot add insult to my experience. There was no insult to it. They were quite polite. I was in the lounge and I was served food and drinks in the lounge. Of course, I paid for that as I would pay in most local lounges. But so in terms of inconvenience, other than the fact that I had to cancel the meeting I had scheduled with my staff late that evening, and the fact that I had to be, spend hours at the airport, and the fact that I had to take the risk of my life traveling in the middle of the night, other than this, people suffered more. People lost luggages. People suffered indignities. So I told my colleagues, the lawyers, prepare for a class action lawsuit. And as the outcry continued, the APIS officials, two APIS officials contacted my staff, because my staff booked my flight and the phone used to book my flight was not my personal phone. So they checked their record, they found the phone used to book my flight. They contacted my PA and asked him how to reach me. My PA contacted me. I guess it was the first day this started. It was in the night around 10 p.m. I told my PA, all right, give them my number, but tell them to call the next day. And the next day, the lady called me, the customer relations manager, I believe, called me. She was very apologetic. And I used the opportunity to explain to her, madam, we are dealing with an industry-wide problem. We are dealing with a systemic problem. It's not that I am too angry or I need to be pacified or I need to be, given something to soften me. I said, no, we've got a big problem. We got to change the way APIS operates. And if we change the way APIS operates, that will change the way the entire commercial aviation in Nigeria operates. So we got to do something. She pleaded with me. I said, no, it's not your fault. Nobody insulted me, so I'm not complaining against any individual staff. I'm complaining about the system. Then after that, a very top official of APIS contacted me too. She was very polite as well and very apologetic. I explained to her, I said, ma'am, some other person also contacted me, but I wouldn't confirm whether that person was from APIS or just a friend of APIS person. But he also called me and said, please, 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 take no further step, forgive and forget. I said, no. If I were to stop suddenly, it wouldn't be in the interest of Airpeace because everybody would think that Airpeace had either bought me over or that Emeka became afraid. And if I would become afraid suddenly and not pursue this, then I would have dashed the hopes of thousands of people who believed that my case was an opportunity for this to come out, for this controversy to be addressed, for this particular menace to be solved. So I told him, no, it's not in the interest of Airpeace to end it suddenly. That on the contrary, I would want Airpeace to pursue this all the way. Wait for me. I told him I hadn't yet sent a formal communication or demands to Airpeace. Let Airpeace wait. They will get my demand. They'll respond to my demands. And they may use the opportunity to tell Nigerians, hey, there was a problem. We realized there was a problem. We're sorry for the mistakes, and we are going to get it right now. That's what I expected. In fact, almost as if I was coaching the Airpeace officials that called me. I said, ma'am, rather than worry about these things, about the outcry, I want your organization to see it as an opportunity to get it right. Because you see, in the industry, you are still a dominant player. Airpeace is still a dominant player. So, and I told her, I'm not against you. If I were against you, I would have been calling for boycott. But I'm not calling for boycott. I'm not asking anybody to stop patronizing Airpeace. I'm not bad-mouthing Airpeace per se in comparison to others. That this problem is probably applicable to other airlines. So what you got to do is be the leader you are. Come out, agree there were mistakes, commit yourself to reforms and changes, and you will regain the confidence and trust of the people. That was my discussion with her. She thanked me, and she went, we ended the call. I then subsequently, as you must have known, sent my demand. Because of the outcry, I had to send my demand faster. I could have taken a few more days and have the lawyers drafted, but I sent a demand to Airpeace. And I wanted to make it clear to Airpeace that I wasn't asking for any personal favor. I didn't want a situation where somebody, initially, when I was going to make the case a personal case, Elomba, I was actually asking for 2.5 million. That was what I had in mind. I was going to ask for 2.5 million for the inconvenience that cost me. But when I realized that this is not about me, this is about thousands of people, this is about Nigerian aviation, I removed my personal claim, really. I no longer want anything for myself. I don't even want money compensation. I want Airpeace to commit to serious standards reforms as to standards of fairness or decent treatment of travelers, because what goes on there is incredible. And now let me tell you something, because normally I would begin when I get myself involved in a controversy of this nature. I think that's what you will probably do, Daniel. Every professional would do that. You'll quickly realize that, oh, you have stepped into something bigger than you thought. So you rush and start researching. You start asking questions. You start gathering facts. You try to know more. So I tried to know more about Airpeace operation, and I was shocked by what I found out. Airpeace never keeps the flight schedule. Never. Indeed, 90% of their flights were delayed. More than 50% were delayed for more than 3 hours. More than 30% were delayed for more than 10 hours. Sometimes Airpeace will change the date you will fly because, of course, as happened in my case, I was to get into Lagos on the 27th, but I got into Lagos on the 28th. So now I asked myself, what if I had a connecting flight? Assuming I was going to fly into Lagos and fly out of Nigeria that night with a connecting flight, what would have happened? Assuming I had a 10 o'clock flight to the United States and I took a 4:25 p.m. flight from Abuja, I would get into Lagos safely, even go to my house and have a shower before coming to the airport to fly out. But in this case, if that were the case, I would have missed my connecting flight. So I assumed that this must have been happening to people. So I checked these things. I began to ask myself, I began to look into the regulatory setting. Who are the supervisors of airpeace? How come they're not aware that these things are happening? Then I realized that the regulators have been captured. They are basically, it's a case of the tail wagging the dog. Rather than regulate the industry, they're in the pocket of the industry, leaving the people totally unprotected. Okay, now I said, all right, let us look at the specific reasons airpeace gives. Airpeace gives the reason operational reasons. That is the most dubious, almost criminal dishonesty. What do you mean by operational reasons? Anything can be operational reasons. In fact, to say operational reasons is to tell you no reason. Because operational reason, it means nothing. You cannot evaluate it. You cannot verify it. You cannot determine whether that is true or not. So operational reason is so dumb. Rarely would the airlines of other countries use that sort of thing. And if there are such operational reasons, they'll be verifiable, understandable in the details. So, but to say operational reasons, and then it turns out later that you claim weather reasons, that was ridiculous. Another thing the airlines didn't know or they forgot is that we all can verify the weather situation. On the internet, online, you can check your location and identify the weather situation that day. So when airpeace just gives this weather thing as the light is so dumb, because what they basically do is they're blackmailing the flyers, they're blackmailing travelers. Because when they say weather reason, you are supposed to shut up. Because if you complain, people will say, oh, come on, safety. You don't care about your own safety. You want people to die. You want the plane to crash. Nothing like that. This is what the airlines are doing in Nigeria. So what airpeace is doing, particularly, when they book people, they don't want to have flights that are not full. They don't want to fly a plane to Abuja that is 60% or 70% full, which is actually what happens all over the world. The airline business anticipates that. Yes, you want to say something, Daniel?
Okay, it's been very nice listening to you. I'm sure anyone who is a regular flyer in Nigeria must have had your experience over and over again. And so when we started reporting about your case, it trended for a long time. That was what captured my interest, because initially I wasn't aware of the news until I saw one particular article trending thousands. I was wondering, then I read it. But then I think yesterday, there is now another report on our website that it appears you are withdrawing your the case in court. So I want to confirm whether that is true. Are you withdrawing the case from court?
No. No. That's not true. In fact, I don't know the source of such story. The case is actually still being developed, because it's now going to be a class action lawsuit. And as you know, Daniel, you're a lawyer yourself. In class action lawsuit, in class action lawsuit, you have to take time to prepare. You have to take time to define the class, the victim category. So rather than talking of withdrawal, we are actually amplifying and strengthening the case. We are gathering more evidence. We are going to open our victims register this week. All those people who had flown airpeace, who have grievances and complaints, we want to compile them, identify and categorize the kind of complaint they have. Those who lost their bags, we want to know. Those who were treated rudely, we want to know. Those who flights were delayed, we want to know. What distinguish those whose flights were delayed for 10 hours from those whose flights were delayed for a couple of hours, and those who suffered additional inconvenience and pain and suffering. So rather than withdraw, I can tell you that we are strengthening our position. Daddy, let me tell you something. If this case was just my case, it was Emeka Ogwonye's case, yes, I would withdraw. Why? Because I've got so many things to do. I've got a whole lot of projects to do. I have further cases I'm involved. And then pursuing a case personally, hoping to get maybe 2.5 million. That's a waste of time. The
All
money
right,
is
so
not
let's,
enough.
well, because of our time, let's take this question from our listener. Maybe when they ask their question, some of the things you are saying will come up from the questions they will raise. So let's go to Elder Tango Ugochukwu. Please unmute yourself.
Good night. You heard me, remember?
Yes, go.
First time I had this incident, many people were shouting, using sentiment. Why the Paris did this? Why do that? But I raised my voice. Maybe some people will say to some forum, what is it? I said, what Paris did is very nice, and it's a wake-up call to others. Because through his intention, even he said it now, I was challenging that the Paris is not doing this because of money, or he need money from APs. But what he did will help others for good flight, because I myself, I'm not a victim once with APs, but I have many relation victims that cost me a lot too. So, but as the case go on, withdrawing the case, have another, he have said it already. When you withdraw the case, it may affect his job as a lawyer, because many people are following the case and watching. It's not doing it for money. But the formal condition he give, I read all his condition. His condition doesn't show any money or any interest. All condition he give before was for better service for the people, for the nation, that if this happened, he will draw the case. I saw that in one write-up, whether he is the one that really wrote that condition. That was the condition I saw before.
I wrote
okay,
it.
thank you. And I read the condition, very perfect. He didn't wrote that condition on your personal interest or for your personal use. He wrote that condition for betterment of the system, and it's welcome. So,
thank you.
My advice: APC is an Igbo man. You are an Igbo man. I'm an Igbo man, and we all are Nigerian. Sentiment will not help us. Sentiment will not help us in any issue. You are expert.
Let me say something.
You know,
let me. Yeah, go ahead.
You know better, and the way I'm seeing you, you will handle it very perfect. But anybody condemning you or going against you that you did the wrong thing, that person is wrong. That's my take.
Thank you. Thank you. Indeed, to say to Daniel, to address this particular concern, right from the beginning, the first call I got actually told me I was an Igbo man and Ellen was an Igbo man. I was so shocked, because the person doesn't understand the aviation industry. Aviation industry is something more complex, international oriented. But there is something particularly troubling about that concern. It suggests that Igbo business can be excused. Indeed, it means that an Igbo businessman can sell a substandard product and people will keep quiet because he's an Igbo man. In fact, that idea will play into the stereotype against the Igbos, that the Igbos are shady business dealers. No. If an Igbo man misses the standards, we must demand that he keeps the standards, because it is in the collective interest of the Igbos for us to be known to sell good product, good quality product and service. We can't cut corners. We can't cheat people. In fact, I will argue strongly that what the APC is doing is across the airline industry. It's not an Igbo airline doing it, really. But also something very important. What I'm doing is ultimately in the interest of APC. Because if I keep quiet and the situation continues this way, you know what happens, Daniel? When the standards are lowered, you invite competitors. Somebody else could enter into the industry tomorrow. And if you ask him, why are you going into the aviation industry? You say that what is the existing there is all below standard, I'm coming in. And that person comes in with better standard, that will cause APs, push APs out of business. So the only way to succeed and continue to exist and to grow is to do it right. So by trying to get APs to do it right, I'm doing APs a tremendous favor. I'm not against them. So I don't want to entertain that idea that I should reconsider my position because of the ethnicity of AP's chairman. But that's also another mistake. You know what? I am well educated to know that when we ask who owns a business, you can't answer that question until you look into the financing of that business. We know that Alan Onyema is the chairman of APs. But can you tell me that you know for sure that he is the majority investor in APs? Can you tell me for sure that you know all the other investors in APs? So for you to say, because I know the chairman of a company, the company is of the ethnic origin of the chairman, that is dumb. By the way, I think they made the wife of Chubo Karibo the chairman of NNPC, right? Can we now say that NNPC is Igbo business? So it is really dumb for anybody to look at APs and call it Igbo business, or any other airline anyway, and call it ethnic business. We don't know. I don't know the financing of APs. I don't know who invested what in APs. I don't know that sort of thing. So it doesn't cross my mind at all. It doesn't cross my mind at all. So I'm not going to think like an uninformed person and assume that if the chairman of APC is an Igbo man, then APC must be Igbo man. Then, which means I will also say that NNPC is an Igbo business because Mrs. Marjorie Karibo is now the chairman of NNPC. So I'm glad you brought that. But I can tell you that I dismissed such concern because it's not meritorious, it's not based on fact, it's not based on logic, and that's not consistent with my thinking. Yes, Lumba? So, but thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad you raised it, okay? Thank you so much. That is Elder Tango Ugochukwu. Thank you very much for your comments. Can you hear me? You guys can't hear me? Daniel? Okay. We're having a problem. Let us see if he returns.
I think we have another question from Dr. Zukia Muhammad. Can you unmute yourself, please?
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Emeka. Good evening, host and the audience.
Good evening to you.
Mr. Emeka, actually, as you might have observed, I have been a very long follower of your group, DPA, and quite all right issues you have been raising. That is why I stick to that group. No matter how busy I am, I used to spend some good time, some quality time in that group, because at least if I did not add to my legal knowledge, I will definitely add to my vocabulary. Yes, definitely. Actually, the issue of the airline operators in Nigeria is very, very painful story. The first thing I wanted to tell you was about my experience of my flight from Lagos to Etihad, from Etihad to New Delhi in India. Actually, I had a flight from Abuja to Lagos. That time, my flight, Etihad Airline to Abu Dhabi and then to New Delhi in India was, I think, around 4 p.m. And I was having an 8 a.m. flight. It was Azman, actually. That time it was not Airpeace, because in the north, really, we patronize more of Azman, Arik, and Aero because of the frequent flies from Kano to Lagos, from Kano to Abuja. I think Airpeace fly only once to Kano. So basically, I had about 6 to 7 hours different between my flight from Abuja to Lagos and then my Lagos flight to Etihad. You could not believe what happened. I missed that flight. Very painful and sad story. No even apology from the airline. So the point I want to make here is that the problem is not that of Airpeace alone, but Airpeace is the key player. I think Airpeace has the largest fleet and it has the highest routes. It has the highest route, and they have fantastic flights. They have fantastic aircrafts. They have fantastic aircraft, the best out of all the aircraft I think we have in Nigeria, because I think there is no airline that I've not fly with in Nigeria. So basically, the issue of negotiating withdrawal, sir, please, should be completely dropped aside. Please. There should be no negotiation, no matter how much. I saw how Sheikh Hussaini raised the issue of amicable settlement. I contacted him privately. We had a chat. What I told him that, look, you have an experience of staying or flying outside Nigeria. You know how these things work. If it is in the US, you raise this concern before you even send a demand. The lawyer will contact you.
True.
Let's settle this case. Let's assess the quantum of damage done to you. Let's see what we can do to relieve your pain, to relieve the pressure you went through, to relieve the losses. I mean, so if whatever Airpeace give will not take care of these issues of this and this problem. The reason why they are doing that is for financial gain. Yeah, of course, it's for financial gain. That is why they'll delay flight to make sure.
Absolutely.
So they should suffer financial loss also.
Absolutely, doctor. You're right.
The issue of saying we should not talk about money, I think it should be. They are doing this for business. I mean, many people lost their businesses, profit, because of this kind of problem from the airline operators. Now, if they know, we now begin to have people like you who will raise their voice so sound that everybody will hear, and to the extent that this company lost significant percentage of their earnings because of the settlement, maybe, probably, or because of the court judgment. Because as a lawyer, I know no reasonable court will refuse damages and compensation against Airpeace. No reasonable court will do that.
Absolutely.
So if they have a smart lawyer, if they have a smart lawyer, that lawyer will tell them, look, go for settlement. If these people will ask 10 billion, they may end up collecting 500 million.
You're right.
So thank you very much. You have really touched where it is hurting me, because even though I am a lawyer, but I feel I am overpowered. I mean, I just cannot be able to raise this issue, fight this battle by myself. But I can tell you, I have never fly in Nigeria on schedule.
Absolutely.
I have never fly in Nigeria on schedule. And if I can tell you how much time I fly using domestic airlines, I can tell you how much time I drink water. So basically, sir, please, this is my really personal request. This is a great opportunity for me. When I saw that communication that you are going to be live, I think I was the first person to join this live program. And I was patiently waiting for this opportunity to really tell you, you are doing an incredible amount of good job. Yeah, this word also I added from incredible. It is from the vocabulary, if you use the word very well. So actually, yeah. So actually, sir, you are doing very good job. Something that I cannot personally do, you are doing it for me. I may not be directly part of those people that are victim of earpiece, but definitely I am part of those people that will be very happy with this if earpiece is made to surpass some economic laws, so that tomorrow they know, okay, if we do this for financial loss, there is every tendency of losing that profit that we have made. So thank you very much. And to the host, I really appreciate this opportunity. I feel relieved saying my mind about this blunder or this trouble we are facing regarding our domestic airline. Thank you and have a good time.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. And if I may point out a few things, you are so right. The reason Airpeace does this is profit, to make more money, and they make more money. And the sad thing, there is really nothing wrong in wanting to make more money, but to make more money at the expense of others, because to tell you the truth is, it would have been better off if Airpeace had just collected extra 2,000 from all the passengers and kept to schedule. But when Airpeace put us through that hardship, we all spend sometimes more than 100,000 just for the extra 10,000 that Airpeace made. So, and when somebody is doing something based on money, financial benefits, what you do in law, as you know very well, Doctor, you're a lawyer, is that you hit at the pocket. You take away the incentive. If you take away the incentive, you're sending a message by saying, hey, when you do this, you don't make more money, you make less money. So they will not do it because they don't want to make less money.
Definitely.
On the issue of compensation, you see, because this is the first time Airpeace is facing this kind of action. Two, because this is a widespread problem across the sector, as you rightly pointed out. Airpeace is a dominant player. And as a dominant player, if you want to change standards, you start from the dominant player. A father of many children. If you want to discipline your children, if you know something all the children are doing together that is wrong, you call all of them and flog the first child. When you flog the first child for that, others will learn. The younger ones will learn that this is bad. They will stop. So we want to put Airpeace through this process, because I can tell you that since my letter went out, other airlines are listening. They're sitting up. They began to issue notifications to their members, began to apologize for delays, things they were not doing before. So the entire sector is watchful. So the proper target for any serious change in standards is Airpeace, because Airpeace is the dominant player. Let me also concede one thing. Airpeace has the best aircrafts. They have the best equipment. I can tell you that. But from what I noticed, their management is very horrible. Their personal relations are very horrible. They are very lackadaisical. They don't care so much, because there are no consequences for lapses. Lapses. And that's what we want to do. We want to alter the incentive structure. In the past, they would do these things and get away with it and get money out of it. Now we want to say, no, if you do it, you're not going to get away with it and you're going to lose money. Now, if Airpeace can carry out these reforms I recommended, and by the way, it's really, many people are telling me that it was a slap on the wrist. I said, I know it's a slap on the wrist. I deliberately put conditions that are so easy to meet. These are conditions that the airlines themselves should aspire to put in place. So, however, if Airpeace comes out, first and foremost, Airpeace has to show contrition. Airpeace should stop speaking arrogantly, because I read something where they said, oh, it's not because we fear. I was shocked. Who is talking about fear? The Nigerian mentality is kicking in. Who is talking about fear? Is it about power? Is it about power or fear? No. Standards are very clear. We can't reinvent the wheel. Aviation has been there for a long time. We know what it is in other parts of the world. APs knows what it is, what it should be. They don't even need to search further. They have books that set standards. They know they're not keeping to standards. So all APs needed to do is to say, hey, we are wrong. We're sorry. We want to get it right. And then things will smoothen up. But APs comes and say, oh no, we're justified. We are just apologizing, not because we are wrong, but because customers are. That's so dumb. They're not wrong. If they're not wrong, we're gonna go to court, and maybe a judge will tell
Very,
them
very
whether
bad
they're right or
approach.
wrong. And guess what? If we go to court, then monetary damages will accrue. Of course, if we win in court in a class action lawsuit, the court will have to award so much and will conduct discovery on the profit APs made. I know what lawyers could do. You know what lawyers could do. We're not just going to walk into the court and start guessing. We're going to conduct discovery. We want to find out how much has APs made this year, last year, what is their profit declaration, what is it like, who is who, what is who. Then we're going to find out the margins of their profit that is attributable to abuse. In other words, money made through abuse of customers. So I don't think that if APs is properly advised, they would choose the option of litigation. That would be interesting. If they choose that, we'll go there. But as to whether we are withdrawing it, no. We're not withdrawing it, but I will admit that given the pleas I got, I gave standards, I gave terms and conditions that are so easy for APs to meet so that the industry can really borrow from it and we move forward. That's what I'm expecting. But thank you so much, Doctor. You're very kind in your remarks.
My pleasure, sir.
All right, it's me next. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Barris Ubonye, we're friends on Facebook. And, I want to believe that what's happening is widespread in Nigeria, incompetence, unprofessionalism everywhere. Just because our people are too docile, nobody complains about anything. Everybody walks around as if everything is good. Now, I have my personal experience. I went to Nigeria on the 17th of December, and I was supposed to go from Lagos to the east and through APIS. Unfortunately, the flight was rescheduled. Well, I had to take another flight. They're still owing me because I missed my flight on getting to Nigeria. Now, the bizarre thing that happened was that on the 6th of January, I was supposed to fly back to the United States from Lagos. Now, I forgot where I was, that I was in Nigeria, that anything was possible. So this flight was supposed to leave 6 p.m. from Asaba. So I was thinking, well, my flight from Lagos was 11:50. That's almost 12 midnight. So I felt that, if I take 6 p.m. flight from Asaba to Lagos, maximum 1 hour, 7 p.m., I was in Lagos. But then as I was getting ready to leave, I got a text message that my flight has been moved to 8:45. I said, oh, well, that's getting too close. Maybe if he gets there by maybe 9:45 or something, that I still had a little time. And then I got to Asaba by 8:45. Sorry, it was 8:25, not 8:25. We didn't hear anything. By 9 p.m., they told us the flight was coming 9:25. Around 9:30, the flights came, and by the time we were done, we left Asaba 10 p.m., got to Lagos 11 p.m. By the time I picked my bag, it was 12 midnight. My flight had already gone. So I had to pay extra 200,000, to find another flight 3 days later. I was supposed to leave, of course, work. I was supposed to leave by, get to work, but I ended up arriving here on Monday. That's 3 days after. So it's all these things are happening because, one, those who are entrusted with the responsibility of regulating the airline operators are not doing their job. They are compromised. And I believe that in all these class action suits, if you don't get them involved, problem will continue because people are paid to do this job. Because the first question people ask is, who is supposed to regulate? Who is supposed to supervise the operations of airlines in Nigeria? What are they doing? Are they being paid to do the job? So I believe just like in everything in Nigeria, where people are paid and not do their jobs, people are getting paid, but they're not doing their jobs. So my thing is now, flights get canceled once in a while, but I realize that in Nigeria is now every flight gets rescheduled, delayed, every flight, almost every flight. That's not acceptable. So if it's a business, that's fraudulent. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chinedu. And if I may add, I was going to say this to buttress your point. There is nothing like scheduling for Nigerian airlines. All those times they put out there as their schedules are meaningless, really. What they do is this. They just pack people, like they know all those traveling from Lagos on Sunday, right? They know all of them. Okay, regardless of what time they booked to fly, what the airline wants to do is that none of their flights will fly not full. So instead of flying, if the morning flight, if the 9 o'clock flight tomorrow is going to have 20 passengers absent, if it's going to be 80% full, they don't want that. They want it to be 100% full. What they're going to do is they will delay the 9 o'clock flight till 11 o'clock. So it could combine the 11 o'clock passengers with the 9 o'clock passenger. However, there will still be a spillover. So what they will do is they will move some of the 11 o'clock flight people to 2 p.m. and merge the rest with the 9 o'clock so they could have a full flight. They're doing what crooked, primitive calculation. They don't want to have empty flights. They don't want to have a flight that's not full. So like buses or kabu at Nisha or Nisha Highway, or Nisha Motor Park, they wait for the passengers. When they are rescheduling your flight, when they tell you your flight has been moved for operational reasons, no, they're waiting for more passengers to fill the flight. They're waiting for more passengers. And the best way to do it is to delay you and merge you with the passengers for the next flight and move some of them. So it is a very horrible, horrible practice. That is why almost every flight in Nigeria is delayed. Not by a few minutes, not even by an hour, but by hours. And you know the funny thing, when at the end of it, they still have passengers left and they don't want to put them in a plane that's not full, they will cancel the flight. They will tell you that the flight is canceled. So now, nobody gives any explanation, and nobody gives account for these cancellations. What prompted the cancellation? So it's a very manipulative system. It has to be stopped at all costs, really. I hope this will get Nigerians to really realize how bad this is. I was shocked myself at the rate of the level of outcry. I didn't know so many people were unhappy with airlines. I didn't know so many people were unhappy with airpeace. And look at, you have explained your own case. Chinedu, you missed your flight in a fluke of circumstance. 4-hour gap. You had a clear 4 hours. You planned for 4 hours. Okay, now, alternatively, you will have to, next time, you'll be forced to travel to Lagos a day in advance. That means you'll be forced to incur the cost of a hotel accommodation in Lagos. Okay, in your own case, using it again as an example, you spent extra 3 days, you paid 200,000 extra. And why? Because airpeace wanted to make money, or that airline wanted to make profit. How could they make profit at such extraordinary cost to you, the passenger? So collectively, what the passengers lost each time they delayed this flight, they delayed because they want to make maybe a profit of 1 million more. But if you look at the collective loss of the passengers, it could be 20 million. So passengers will lose 20 million for APs to make 1 extra million. That's unacceptable.
I think Elomba is gone. If anybody else has any question.
Yes, if you have question, please come on. The moderator is
taking a break.
Yes, taking a break, yes.
Does anybody have any other thing to say? Okay, I think Spirit Man is raising his hand. Go ahead, sir.
Spirit Man, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Spirit Man, unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Okay, good evening, Didi, and good evening, Diho.
Good evening.
All right. Actually, I put down my hand before because my view has been captured, but since there is an opportunity for to do that, let me quickly say that with the little time I've followed Didi on Facebook, I wish we could have, even if it's 2 or 3 more other people like him in this country, then Nigeria would experience better. Why do I say that? Many people of his class and caliber has experienced what he did. And just as he said, it's not about him. If it's about him, he could simply overlook or walk away. But because of the people, and when I read that in trading on Facebook, I desired so much to have such in other sectors, because one thing that is paramount or common to see in Nigeria is service providers behaving as though they are doing you favor, and it's everywhere, almost in every sector. So with this one now, though doctor has captured my view, and then Chinedu also captured my view and other these things. So I want to be brief. If something like this is done across the sectors, people coming up to challenge something and then enforce it to be rightly done like Didi is doing, I believe Nigeria will be a better place. And finally, please, Didi, it might interest you to know that if as you're raising register for people to come up, to say their view, if you raise register and say people should contribute money that to handle this situation, you will be, as you are shocked as to the outcry, that's how you'll be shocked to tell you that people really need reform in our sectors. I want to leave it there. Thank you, sir, for your sacrifices.
Thank you, Spirit Man. Thank you for your kind words. I thought Lady Juliet made a comment. Does she want to say something? All right.
Yeah. Is there any other question, or should I ask mine? Okay. So basically,
you disappeared.
yeah,
we're looking for you.
I gave my excuse before leaving. I don't know whether I got my message.
Okay.
All right. So basically, the suit is going ahead.
It has to go ahead.
Yeah, my question is: does Nigeria has provision for class action?
Yes, Nigeria does have a provision, and there has been a very successful class action lawsuit against an oil company in Nigeria, which was successful. So that it was at the Federal High Court. I think it was in Asaba. We are looking closely at that case, looking at the procedures and the rules used. So that's why class action lawsuit is not common in Nigeria. It's very rare. but we are not the first. Someone has been able to utilize it. And I had looked at the rules and found out, yes, indeed, even without that first precedent, the rules allow it. The rules of civil procedure for the federal high courts allows it. We have ample provision for that. So that is it. What is going to be difficult, but not insurmountable, is the management of the case. Usually people don't realize that when you're dealing with class action lawsuits, it's not just what happens in the courtroom that determines the outcome. You are managing a very wide range of claimants, huge in number. There is a requirement for notification. They have to be notified and properly identified, because the essence of class action lawsuit is actually sometimes to the benefit of the person you are suing, like in APs. If I go and sue APs in my case alone and win, every other person who suffered a delay can actually go and sue, and it will be very easy because they will now have a precedent to follow. They will see what the rules are, what the laws are, what the authorities are. All they need to do is to exert their own facts. So, but what that leads to is that you will now have 1,000 or 10,000 lawsuits, 10,000 cases that will overwhelm the judiciary. We don't have enough judges in this country to hear 1,000 cases all of a sudden. So class action lawsuit consolidates that 1,000 lawsuits into a single lawsuit. But then you have to identify who the 10,000 claimants are, and then you have to have a way of apportioning compensation. In fact, also you have to have a way of defining damages, because somebody like Chinedu now spent 200,000 because of the mistake the airline made, and stayed 3 extra days. And who knows what other inconveniences he suffered when he got back to work. Okay, someone else like me, okay, in his own case, they delayed him for 4 hours. They delayed Chinedu for 4 hours, but the consequences were far more to him than I that was delayed for 10 hours. So the whole idea is, the essence of class action, and this is where the focus is going to be, is how to manage the claimants and categorize them so we can separate Chinedu's claim from the claim of another passenger of that airplane who did not miss his flight. Do you understand it? So that is what the challenge is going to be. And we have to notify them. We have to listen to them. We have to have meetings of claimants and be able to articulate capture their claims, define their claims, categorize their claims, and then allocate compensation to them. And then, as the spirit man just pointed out, if it comes to contribution, assuming you ask class members, we don't intend to do this. We have no plans yet to do that. But assuming you ask class members to contribute towards the cost of the litigation, assuming you say, all right, everybody should contribute 2 or 3% of his compensation or claim towards the financing of the action, you also have to make sure they're able to do that. You have to keep record of it. You have to do so. So that's where the challenge is, Daniel. But certainly, the law is good, and we are ready to go as far as the law is concerned. Somebody's raising her hand. Like Zion's daughter, somebody is raising her hand. Daniel, somebody's raising her hand.
Yeah, she can unmute herself.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good night, everyone. My name is actually Abundance. I first of all want to appreciate Barrister for the good job you're doing. I've been a member of DPA for quite a while now, and I've really, really learned a lot, as there are times that we live in ignorance because we do not know the law. And since I joined DPA, I have learned so much, and I want to appreciate you, Barrister, for the good work you're doing. The Lord bless you.
Thank you.
My question actually is like what you're doing right now. I've been following regarding the case with Peace Airline, and I want to find out, for example, if one's right as an individual, like what happened to you, and you feel that your right has been violated, you've been trampled upon, and usually in Nigeria we are scared. We say, "Oh, who will support me if I try to voice out my feeling or try to go to court with the matter?" And you are being threatened, and that will make a lot of people just stay back even when they know that they are right. But in the area of, I want to find out if DPA can stand for one, if really that you have a case like this and you come to DPA, can they really stand for you as a registered member, sir?
Yes, indeed. The answer is yes. We will stand for you. And we are standing for people because apart from my case with APs, people have other claims. I just finished with a lady in the United States. She flew from Asaba to Lagos to connect with her flight to United States. She flew United Airline, and United Airline forgot her luggage. Her luggage was left behind in Asaba. And the lady had to connect and go to the United States. So she traveled to the United States without her luggage. She's been trying to get her luggage sent to her by a United Airline. They are not resisting, they're just dealing with the nitty-gritty of the process. So DPA is handling the matter. DPA stepped in today. We're going to make sure that she's all right. We're going to make sure that her bag gets to her and that the airline bears responsibility. And we're asking the airline to give her $500 for her inconvenience. So we do that for members. I just gave you that as an example. We also have another case. That one is not even a local airline. It was Qatar Airline. We are pursuing that as well for DPA member. We're representing them. And I'm sure there'll be many more to come.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. If there are any more questions, otherwise we listen to your concluding comments, Mr. Ugonye. If there are no more comments, can you give us a concluding comments before we call it a day?
Certainly, but I thought you had a question yourself, Mr. Lombard.
No, I have asked my.
Okay, very well.
I've asked my questions.
Very well.
Okay, Dr. Mohammed is raising up a hand again.
Sure. I want to hear Doctor again.
Sorry to come back again. Actually, when I heard you spoke about the issue of an international airline, I just want to share my experience with Egypt Air. Okay. I think it would value our beautiful meeting.
Okay.
Actually, in 2018, no, actually mid-2019, okay. I booked a return ticket from from Mumbai to Nigeria. Actually, I was working in one university there as an assistant professor of law. So eventually I was appointed as the director of international admission. There was some Indian who is actually, there was an Indian guy who was who felt so bad that I have taken over his job. And initially the trip was personal, but along the line it was converted into official. So he had a copy of my return ticket. So after I visited Nigeria and I completed everything, I was supposed to fly back to Mumbai. When I checked in, I was even given my boarding pass. I had an announcement calling my name. The airline told me that they received an email from one guy telling them that they should not board me. They should not check me in. I should not be allowed to fly, that they have canceled my visa. I asked the manager from Kano office of Egypt Air that, can an individual cancel a visa? What do you understand by a visa in the first place? Even the country that issue you a visa cannot just go ahead and cancel that visa without following the due process. Otherwise, it could cause a diplomatic crisis between the country, the country and the. So they kept insisting that they cannot risk fly me to India because of the compensation they are going to pay if I was to go there without valid visa. So they just brought out my luggages, gave me my luggages, and then I had to fly to Abuja. When I came to Abuja, luckily the High Commissioner was a truly an amazing Igbo man, Major General Chris Eze. He was actually the High Commissioner to India. He called the ambassador and asked him if the Nigerian our own representative in India is the Major Chris Eze.
Yes.
And yeah, he called the ambassador of India to Nigeria. My boy is been denied entry into India. Why? He said, no, nobody can deny him entry into India. It was the problem of the airline. So actually, eventually I fly from Abuja to New Delhi. I entered the country successfully using another different airline. So when I communicated my concern to Egypt Air head office in Cairo, they sent a very long apology email, and then they refund my complete amount, the total return. Of course, I utilize one way, but all the amount was refunded. The rationale behind telling this story is to show our listeners that, look, there are the responsible airlines. They know what to do. They know the legal implications. They know the consequences. And I also observed, Eric, when, on the around 8th or 9th December, I was leaving Abuja to Kano. There was delay, and then they issued some snacks to their passengers, after also apology. Sometimes it could be inconveniences. I mean, it could be really operational reasons. I mean, valid reasons. But the majority problem of the person is deliberate. I mean, it is for financial gain.
Yes.
For financial gain. Really, I hope this step will really make an impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you again. And just to buttress the point, because this came up in our analysis, why is it we checked all these delays by the airline never resulted in costs to the airlines? They did not suffer any losses. So there were delays that were designed and managed by the airlines. There were not delays that were imposed on APs. There were self-induced delays for the purpose of enriching themselves for financial gains. Because you see, anywhere in the world, when you have this sort of difficulty that affects and causes passengers so much inconvenience, it also always causes inconvenience to the airlines. Let me tell you something. It causes inconvenience either because the airlines will refund tickets, or the airlines will have to put people in hotels, or airlines will have to transport people. So the airlines would not want these events to occur because they suffer losses when they occur. But in the case of Nigeria, APs makes profit when these delays occur. Let me give you an example. You bring people to Lagos past midnight. You did not provide them a place to stay until daybreak. Assuming you had provided them a place to stay until daybreak, that meant you would have bought them dinner and toothbrush. If you did so, that would be expense to APs. APs would never have brought us to Lagos past midnight if they were to pay anything. If it cost APs anything, they would have flown us by 8 p.m. because flying us by 8 p.m., they will not pay anybody anything. But flying us by midnight, they wouldn't do so if they were asked to pay for our taxi. If APs was to provide a vehicle to take us to our houses, maybe put us on a bus, put policemen to follow the bus, and they'll be dropping us house to house, house to house. If APs had to do that, that would be inconvenience. That would be expense to APs. APs will not do that. So the whole idea is that the airlines, for us to know that these delays are not just something the airlines are cooking up, let us see signs of losses by the airline. APs loses nothing. And that's why I said in my recommendation, if APs finds out it cannot leave the delays up to 3 hours, let APs put its passengers on Dana or any other airline that's available. That's what they do in America. That's what they do in other places. Okay, sorry, our flight is canceled, but go to the other airline. They give you tickets that the other airlines will accept and book you. Why can't they do that? So APs is sure that even if it delays, it will never refund anything. So the 50 passengers will be there, and if they decide to go home, that is their business, they will not be refunded. So APs loses nothing. And when APs makes money without losing anything, it will be encouraged to keep doing that. And that is what is happening. That's why APs cannot come out and admit that they made a mistake. They're following their arrogant approach, but I'm sure it's going to hurt them very, very hard. I think they underestimated what this is about. All right. Elomba?
Yes, all right. If you don't have any more questions, can you give your concluding comments? And then
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Daniel. I think we are hoping to make a change in this critical sector. I do know that there are problems in other sectors. Many people who have commented have expressed wishes that the same thing could happen in other sectors, but we can't build the Rome in a day. We have to take it little by little. Today we are dealing with the airline. We are hoping it will result in some changes that will benefit everybody, including the airlines themselves, including the aviation sector in Nigeria. Okay, and so the lawsuit is going on. We're not going to withdraw from it. Indeed, we're even looking for more things to do to get attention to be able to hold the airlines accountable. We're going to send letters to the National Assembly requesting hearings and investigation. We're going to send a strong letter to the regulators of Nigerian aviation. We're going to point out these things. Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Aviation will be notified. We may not be expecting much from them, but if these standards could be captured by regulatory changes, we will love it. If there's going to be some signs of improvement in enforcement procedures, we'll be very happy. And if the airline itself, APs, mobilize other airlines could come and improve standards, we'll be very grateful. But again, it's nothing personal. I don't have a personal thing against anybody. I have to do this because now a whole lot of people are looking up to us. DPA is there to fight for people. It's not a Meku Warriors thing. I expect resistance, and I'm already noticing that resistance. At some point, people will misunderstand and try to attack a Meku Warrior, hoping that it's a personal thing, but they're very wrong. As I said in my letter to Senator Sani, even if I were to remove myself from this controversy, that would give no comfort to APs. Okay, the genie is out of the bottle. People now know they can complain, and they're having a field day complaining. I'm sure at some point somebody must give vent to this grievance. And thank you, Elomba, for giving us this opportunity to hold this discussion. I'm sure this will not be the final discussion on this subject.
All right, we thank you very much, Mr. Ugwe. It's been a very good conversation. And we thank all who joined with us tonight to have this very timely discourse on the behavior of airlines and even other organizations. The way they treat their customers in Nigeria is really nothing to write home about. And I'm happy that Ugwe has stepped out now on behalf of all of us, because we all have had that experience. And because I only stay briefly in Nigeria, my brothers will say, sue them, sue them. I said, how will I be coming back from London to go to court with airpiece for this experience? So it's good. I thank you very much for stepping out on behalf of all of us, and we can do all we can to support you in this very worthwhile endeavor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you all who joined with us tonight, and have a good evening.